Kick over everything? Good morning. How we doing? Good? Namaste. So a crisp, bright, and clear morning here in South Florida. Nice to feel and see. And we want to bring that clarity into this space, that open sky, that cloudless sky, seeing that as a reflection of the state of our mind. So as we learn in these higher teachings, nature is a reflection. It is an extension or a projection of our inner state. So we're collectively making nature reflect back to us our inner state. And as more of us clear our inner state, we will see nature going through its transformations as well. You know, a lot of this anger and stuff is erupting and emotions are flooding right now. There's a lot of release of repression that has been within the collective psyche for a long time, and we call it earth changes. It's really consciousness changes. And everything is a mirror of this inner state. So we want to cultivate deep awareness of this inner self, this deeper or higher identity. And that's really what all of the sacred wisdom traditions are pointing us toward, if they're used correctly, that we are more than the fluctuations and change of nature. That goes according also to our bodies. That oftentimes we kind of gauge and assess ourselves in terms of how our bodies are feeling. And that's a big mistake. Number one, because the body's never going to always feel good. It's always on an up and down kind of a wave. And then secondly, the body is also like nature. It's a mini nature, a microcosm. It's reflecting back to us our inner state. And sometimes when we're not fully aware of the thoughts that we're allowing, the thoughts that we're validating, the thoughts that we value or make real, they actually have impact on our physical bodies. That's why this clarification of the inner state is so important, not only for the outer collective experience of nature, but right here at home within the biological experience and how we feel in our bodies. That's why the earliest teachings of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha was to bring this awareness of the breathing into full view. And as we allow the mind to rest on the flow of the breath, it does amazing things. You can find these great master Buddhists that have spent their whole life just on that simple practice of watching and experiencing the hidden dimensions of breathing. And as we do this together this morning, I would invite you to just begin to watch and sense this flow of breath. You don't have to alter your breathing rhythm at all, but just be with it, be aware of it, because what that's going to do is it's going to give your mind something to focus on. Rather than jumping about in the fantasy realm of image making and past and future views of itself, the mind can actually come to rest in the present moment. This is one of the main reasons why the Buddha gave such a meditation. It anchors you into the here and the now. And as we've been saying, heaven is here. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time. And so as we begin to calm our inner state, allowing the breath to be the anchoring point that we bring our focus and concentration on, we begin to really still the mind. The inner state, like the sky, gets cloudless and clear. That's the starting point for deep insight and to see things in their true nature as they are, not clouded by our projections, by our confusions, etc. So we want to maintain this connection to our breathing, to our awareness of the here and the now throughout this conversation, because it's going to center on getting into a real still attention to what's arising through our conversation. And we're going to be spending the morning mostly with Hafiz. And Hafiz is just a master poet that allows words to open up these hidden dimensions of our consciousness that can bring us into greater understanding and greater embrace of this infinite peace that is to be discovered when the mind clears. It's your natural state. Not to know your infinite peace is unnatural. And we have it topsy-turvy, don't we? And we think that peace is something to be acquired because we're so hypnotized and programmed by a materialistic and capitalistic culture that peace has become a commodity, that you have to go out and buy it or go to a workshop and get it from somebody special who has it and you don't. It's as simple as breathing. It's right here, right now, and it's always yours. But what we do have to do is be willing to set aside our penchant for distracting ourselves away from it. We're experts at that. We are so quick to cover up our connection to peace through our own, again, programming and belief system that has us actually feeling like to suffer, to struggle, to have drama in our life, to be in a state of unrest is natural. To be depressed is natural. And that becomes a really deeply ingrained patterning within the subconscious mind. So when we begin to entertain these ideas of clearing the subconscious blocks, these deeply ingrained patterns go into survival mode and they kind of grip at some level. If you're watching and calming the mind, you'll begin to see where you're gripping onto these hidden patterns that have been shaping, dominating, and manifesting your life in the way that is unnatural, unpleasant, unwholesome, uncreative. And, as we do this, we're going to relax. It's really it's a nothing thing to do. It's an undoing. That's why everybody can do it. He says something beautiful in A Course in Miracles. Salvation doesn't ask anything of you that you cannot give right now. The gate is open. The way is clear. But are we willing to set aside our obstacles, our blocks, our penchant for drama, our penchant for blaming, all of the stories that we've been telling ourselves? Are we willing to let all of those thoughts be still? Are we willing? Your will is your wand, your magic wand. You have this power right now. You can give your consent and acceptance to walk through that gateless barrier into the Zen, into your natural state, into infinite peace. Right here, right now. But we have to get quiet, settling on the breath, and allowing that breath, almost like an elevator, to take you down into these hidden strata of your own deeper psyche. It's like you're going on an archaeological dig, and you're going down to the place where there is the light of pure being hidden within your own depths. And by just focusing on the breath and letting anything that needs to come up, and as soon as it comes up, let it evaporate by not giving it your psychic energy. It's only a residual of your past or a projection that you've had of a future. And you realize it's not the solidity of the here and the now. And it's an obstacle to your infinite peace. And so even if it's just for the next 50 minutes, go into a practice of simply relinquishing and letting go whatever's arising, good or bad. This is the other thing that has been well known in these contemplative sciences. Your good thoughts are just as much of an obstacle as your bad thoughts. Don't try to be good. There's none good but God. And so the relinquishing of all separate states is the name of the game this morning, because your silence is a joining. It's a unity with all living things. So even your good thoughts impede that, because your good thoughts arise from a headspace where you think you're a separate entity, cut off from other entities, but you're thinking good thoughts as this separate entity. The basis of that thought itself is the idea of separation, and therefore will block you from your peace. It's better than being self-destructive or other destructive. So a good thought might have a little remedial value. It might be a step in the right direction to clear up some of the darker parts of your personality. So let it serve that function if it needs to, but in order to enter that gateless barrier, drop even the good thoughts as you come to the breath, as you come to the silence of the present moment. So let's hold this sacred space for ourselves and for each other this morning. That we anchor into the sacred breath, which is the same breath for all. We're all breathing in the same way. There's really no other when we consider the breath. All living things breathe. And so as we join with the breath, we join with one another, and we share in this willingness to see one another within the sacred now. We've been brought here this morning by our souls, our higher self, whatever way you want to look at it, providence, to be lights for one another, to kindle this deeper knowledge within one another and within ourselves, because as you give, and what you give is what you receive. And so we are not passerby, passive participants. We are the willing agents of manifesting sacred space together this morning to bring about the realization for ourselves and each other that heaven is here, heaven is now. And so it is. So this is a wonderful book. I've read from it many times, A Year with Hafiz. If you like the poems, you may want to pick this one up. Let's see, where do we want to start this morning? This one is called Bump Heads with the Roof. How can I grow and reach my full height? A tree once said to me. And I replied, dear, sit quiet for a minute each day. Don't let your branches move. Conserve your energy within and without. Concentrate all your strength on your invisible wings. Then a fuel that feeds your actions and thoughts will help your spirit to rise and bump heads with the roof over all. Roof is in a capital form, so capital R, roof, meaning the great space or great spirit, Allah for Hafiz. And the real key here is that a tree is asking how to grow. It's already within the DNA of the tree to be a tree, just like it's within your DNA to bump heads with the roof, to join in the experience of the vastness of God. But we have to sit quiet every day. We have to concentrate and allow these invisible wings to strengthen and grow so that we can shed the shackles and the chains and the limitations of false thinking and false belief that have us not knowing ourselves. Isn't that amazing? The tape that we keep running within our own inner voice and this constant chatter if you were to market and package this conversation that you're always having with yourself, you can market it as how not to know yourself. Listen to it. That's one of the benefits of getting quiet. Listen to what it says. Listen to what it says about you. Listen to what it says about others. It's a course in not knowing yourself. It's a course in suffering. Because to not know yourself is to not be in peace. And if you're listening to that internal voice that's endlessly chattering as if it were this separate you, commenting on everything you are and what the world is and who everyone else is for you, you cannot find peace. You can't. It's the anti-peace. That's why we must become still and be willing to let go of identifying with that constant machine of meaning making. Be still. And this deeper you will emerge. This is the beauty of it. That voice will go into overdrive sometimes as you're really letting go and dropping into that elevator of going down into your depths, and it will be like, I have no business here. These are depths that I can't abide within. I'm a surface creature. I'm a surface dweller. And as you go deeper and deeper, that inner voice will become maybe a little more raucous, a little more anxious, a little more gripping, and it will do anything so as to have you not go below its influence. Watch that too. And keep dropping. And then what you'll find is another you that was in potentia, waiting to emerge, waiting to take the place of the usurper. The not you, the not self that was, counterfeiting you. And had you duped your whole life. And had you feeling the pain of alienation and disconnection from your peace your whole life. And on top of it, like a pharmaceutical rep, gives you the remedy that will only add to the side effects and pain. In other words, go out there and try to find what you're missing. Get addicted to something out there. And then you're really doubly done. So getting quiet, concentrating, letting this experience of you dropping down into your own deepest nature, following the breath, watching it go in and out, not having to do anything, your invisible wings will start to grow. Hafiz, when all is still, and then all the and thens ceased. Nothing remains to be done in the order of time when all is still. In the profound quiet, the immaculate comes into view. God disrobes. So one of the things we want to recognize in the pointing out of Hafiz's poem is this is intimacy. This is love-making at its highest order. We've been puritanical oftentimes in our spirituality, where there's no sensuality, no intimacy, no passion, no living, pulsing experience of union with God. And for Hafiz and many of the other Gnostics across the spectrum, that's just a bold-faced lie. God is passion. God is desire. God is orgasm, taken to its highest and purest form. This is what the secret societies and the esoteric brotherhoods and sisterhoods for millennia have been keeping secret. This union with God, you disrobe, God disrobes. And there's the eros gamos, the sacred marriage, the alchemical union, the tantra. And it's with your soul and its source. And there's nothing that can top that. And when you have that, you will oftentimes find the partner who can meet you there in that sacred union. And if you don't find the physical partner, there is no loss. But being still is the invitation to everything coming to you. Because remember, if you were to package that inner voice that you've been hypnotized into thinking is you, not only is it the anti-peace, but it's anti-happiness. And here's another one to try on. If you stay identified as the surface dweller, with that program running as your identity conversation, it's also the principle of avoiding relationship. That surface dweller concept of yourself cannot be in a real relationship. It uses people. Don't mean to point here. It's all it can do. It's incomplete. It comes from a state of lack. It's hungry, it's thirsty, and it's a scavenger. It's looking for any scrap of this divine union. Food, drugs, sex, adventure. From this fragmented state, all of these substitutes become the only way that it can attempt to find this divine orgasm. And it never works. And so this is anti-happiness. As long as you are pretending to be the surface dweller, you're forfeiting your own happiness. So getting still is the beginning of your happiness. Because then you're basically saying, look, I'm clearing out everything that's been blocking my peace and my happiness and my fulfillment. I don't know what it is. I really don't. None of us do. And Hafiz has a poem basically saying, if you're finding a guru that says he knows, like, run. Run the other way. Nobody knows. And when they become nobody, then knowledge can come. So not to say that all teachers are bad or I'd be out of a job, but the idea here is I don't know. And as I become nobody, what knows can come through. And it's the same thing you know. I'm not giving you anything. I can't. You already have it. All that I'm doing is hopefully successfully annihilating myself in front of you so that that voice that is everything can resonate with the voice that is everything in you, and we can join and recognize this mutual identity and be done with hurting ourselves and the world and nature. But remember, if you forfeit this deeper identity that is all of life and is the self in all beings, if you forfeit that and choose to be a surface dweller and deny you are anything other than the separate self, you will be duped. You're duping yourself, number one, by cutting yourself off from your own source. Then you'll enter in, because this voice that's telling you you're separate, Jesus said it in the Course, is the voice of a tyrant. It's trying to rule your life and cut you off from true authority. So as long as you go with the tyrant, you will be in the regime of tyrants. And this will be your inner state, and it will be your outer state. And as most of us are on board with clearing these subconscious blocks and these old programs, we're seeing the hidden tyranny rise, make itself known. What was within will be seen without. We will see the reflections of tyranny, and they're losing control because you're choosing the light. Don't think that your little nexus of consciousness is in any way powerless. You're a co-creator of reality. And as you're allowing this deeper you to emerge, the restrictions and limitations and shackles that are being put upon the planet as a reflection of what you were doing within will have to begin to break down. This one is called Dissolving in the Infinite. I have opened all the windows in my house. Eagles fly in and out, as do any words that are spoken about me. Anything my ears might detect firsthand or second, I might give that news a moment's attention. And then just let it be the tiny evaporating whiff of smoke it is, dissolving in the infinite. Again, Hafiz, a Sufi within the tradition of mystical Islam, is giving us what we find in the great perfection teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, that everything that's arising self-liberates in an instant when we stop giving it our attention. It evaporates like a whiff of smoke. Whatever you're hearing about yourself firsthand, in other words, what you're telling yourself about yourself, or secondhand, what other people are telling you about yourself. Give it a moment's attention, and then just let it be the tiny evaporating whiff of smoke it is. And then whatever thoughts, whatever feelings, whatever emotions, whatever images, whatever memories, whatever bodily sensations are coming up, a moment's attention, and then evaporation. And as you do this as quieting, as a part of your quieting practice, you dissolve your boundaries. You dissolve all images. You dissolve physical pain. You dissolve emotional knots. You dissolve limiting beliefs. Let them evaporate by withdrawing your attention from them. And they become a puff of smoke. And all that's left is the infinite space of your own nature. Not something. You. We've been taking a course in not knowing ourselves. And we all got our PhD. We have done the impossible. And now it's time to undo it and be who we are. For ourselves, for the planet, for one another. It's time to sing our life. Until now, I had not known. Until now I had not known, but henceforth will never forget. The beloved and each moment are one. The beloved and each moment are one. So when we're done image making, when we're done worshiping idols in the old biblical parlance, we're in the being of heaven here and now. Beloved and this moment are one. When we remove the idols from our heart, we're swimming in God. We live, move, and have our being in God. We've never left. It's been a round-trip journey in your head, as Queensryche sang. Master of illusion. Can you realize your dream's alive and you can be the guide? But I'm standing and smiling next to you in silent lucidity. The second verse of that song, if you open your mind for me, you won't rely on open eyes to see. The walls you built within come tumbling down, and a new world will begin. And I'll be watching over you. I will help to see you through. I will protect you in the night. I'm smiling next to you in silent lucidity. And then find your breath, carefully watching the mind, watch what's arising, because the commentator is going to come back in to say what this moment means. What's happening now? Like you're watching a sporting event and they're telling you what's going on in the game. That's that ego voice. It's always coming in after you have the experience to tell you what you just saw and felt and experienced. No, thank you. I'd rather stay in the silent lucidity. I'd rather know that this moment and the beloved are here now with me. I don't need commentary, because all that will do is take me out of the moment. The commentator lives in haunts the past. The commentator only sees the past. The commentator is not you. So keep dropping in. Go deeper than you ever have. Letting all things that you feel, that you sense, that are emotional currents, just keep letting them evaporate as whiffs of smoke, and call in the infinite beloved to meet you where those whiffs of smoke have given entry for it. All physical sensations, all dysfunctional scripts, all patterns, everything becomes whiffs and puffs of smoke. Self-liberating. Nothing hinders you. And know he's smiling next to you. And you may even feel the hands of the guide on your shoulders. He gives that image, of course, in Miracles, that Christ comes to put his hands on your shoulders. And it's that Shakti pot. It's that descent or current of divine grace that when your mind is finally quiet and receptive, this higher order reality, the superconscious, supermental light can descend and rest its hands on your shoulders and take you up to the roof. But you got to go down first. Clear and quiet. And then you can go up to the roof. And then you'll realize you fill all things. Because the moment and the beloved are one, your head is above the heavens. Your feet are below the hells. You're in this silence and peace that cannot be threatened by any phenomena. Just follow your breath. No commenting. Just let it in. And keep letting it in. Are we having fun? A couple more. God dependent on us. Try and stay with me on this one. After being so connected to the well where all is drawn, after absorbing God through a refulgent, pulsating cord at will, as easily as most breathe, curled there, buoyant, and surrounded in a warm sea, knowing your kingdom is light. Yes, having the infinite rush through your veins at your merest command. What bravery, dear, what strength it takes to sometimes not openly scream about such a stupendous loss, even though, if you listen, all the birds' songs promise it is temporary, only temporary. God not being connected to us in a profound intimacy. You and God are dependent on each other's being for life. What else would you like to know today, if that's not enough? You know, Jesus describes the voice of the ego as the voice that tells you there's something more than everything, and has you buy into its propaganda and takes you on that Pinocchio journey away from your Father's house, looking for something else. If you're like Pinocchio, it was fame and fortune, or whatever else that something else might be for you. That's to be looked at very clearly. What is the something else that has you not be in intimate connection every moment with your source and yourself? What is more important? What is more worthy of your attention? That's to be not judged, but to be clearly seen, and seen for what it truly is, because it uses glamour and magic to pretend it's something more than everything. And in our surface mind, our childish Pinocchio mind, we think that is something more. And we throw Jiminy away and we run after it. That's why the Buddha said, stop and deeply look at your mental functions. What's taking you out of the here and now of nirvana? Why would you choose it if you're in your right mind? You can't choose it if you're in your right mind. What has you not being in your right mind? Deeply look. Only you can find that answer. And we all have to look when we're ready. I think this might be our last. The heavy artillery. Sound said to me, I want to be holy. And I replied, dear, what is the problem? You already are. The sound quipped back, what do you mean? Well, the wind speaks, does it not? And what about the refrain of geese? And what of the moo and the baa and the rooster at dawn? And the chorus from the sea and the rain and the thunder? Is not all a part of God, thus sacred? I think he has surrounded us. We better give up, or he might bring out the heavy artillery, like just outright lifting his skirt everywhere. Think of all the sweet madness that would cause. So think about it while the blue bag goes around. If you're joining us on Facebook, welcome to the space, welcome to the service. A little late on the welcoming to you, but I'm sure you jumped right in with us. And if you'd like to jump in on donating, you can find the link in the comments section below. Click on that and just make sure you are selecting the 8 a.m. service for your donation. Thank you. You guys have any thoughts? Anything that you'd want to drill down on a little more? We have a few minutes for that. Think about it while we bless the offering. We give thanks to the givers as well as the gifts, and may they be charged with the intention to bring light into hearts and love into minds so that we can heal as one. And so it is. Amen. Joe has the microphone, so if you're ready, raise your hand and he'll give it to you. And please accept the microphone so that everybody on Facebook can join in hearing you. Don't be shy.
It's hard to articulate sometimes what we are dealing with. So, especially in the Zen tradition, you're here and you're not here, okay? Then we get to the point where we say we are not here and we're pounding our chest. And then the master goes, but you also have to realize you are not here. So you are less than here and not here.
Well, you're more.
Yeah.
Here and not here cannot confine you.
Yes. As you give less of everything, you get more.
Yeah, you get the mind out of the horns of the dilemma. So the dilemma is you're either here or not here. And we usually have to go toward negating where we currently are in order to be free, but we then find that the negation is also a subtle trap. And that will take a little while, like we had told that Zen story, maybe that's what you're thinking of too, where Dogen was working on that koan, that practice of dropping body, dropping mind. And so he was letting everything evaporate. All bodily states, all mental states evaporating moment by moment until the infinite was within full view. His doors and windows of perception were open to the infinite. And then he goes to his master and bows in respect and says, body and mind dropped. The master says, now drop body and mind dropped. Put the tool down. The tool got you to the place where you can remove yourself from the dichotomy of opposites. Now really go home. Beyond even the tool of your mental practice or your spiritual practice. It's soap, like we had said, right? So you wash the soap off. Get clean totally. Yeah, thank you, Cliff. Anybody else? Cynthia. Appreciate that, Cliff.
Just because I'm here, I have to say something, I feel. But I'm working on a character in a novel who has an out-of-body experience that comes back to a world very changed. And thank you for what you said, but I'm not quite how to insert it. It's a police person who loses his mind and just becomes what you're talking about this morning. So it's pretty darned interesting that you're saying all of this. But I don't know, can I really have him skipping down the main street of Wells, Maine? I mean, can that really happen?
Anything can happen.
I know.
But what is most skillful? So this is the thing. That was part of the whole Buddhist tradition as well. Like you're in the infinite, and you know yourself to be such. And yet, you have compassion for those who cannot accept that fire hose of experience that you're encountering. So you use skillful means to bring wherever that person is the medicine as they can handle it. That could be a
Right.
appropriate
So
response.
once I've started working on this, a lot of things come up, like the line in Love Potion, I kissed a cop on the corner of 39 or something, so I'm going to put it into action and see what happens. But what you said was very helpful to me. And I also have this one thing in my mind, when someone says, I have PhDs, how nice were you? I just think that's a great response.
Well, a friend of mine years ago said PhD stands for permanent head damage. Sing your life, Chuck.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's interesting because, all right, is it better? I get up in the morning and I have a chair in my bedroom and I sit there and I go through what you described.
Mm.
The thing that I have a hard time with is as soon as I get up, it seems like reality hits me in the head. I walk through that door and bam,
Unreality hits you in the head.
all that beautiful feeling disappears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's so wonderful to do that breathing.
Yeah, so the mind training is to take that experience that you're having in the stillness and integrate that into your life. So to become aware of that transition moment when you're about to get up from your chair and you're transitioning into your active life, do your best. It's going to slip in the beginning, of course, but do your best to continue on bringing mindfulness into every moment. So you're not going unconscious into the script. Because we've always brushed our teeth this way. Change the hand that you're brushing your teeth with. Do something that's going to break the habitual hypnotic trance of your everyday pattern. Do something to break that and allow yourself to use these moments as touch points to bring you back to the stillness, to the opening to the beloved, whatever way you're phrasing it that helps you.
Maybe I should just keep deep breathing.
Deep breathing would be beautiful. Yeah, maintain that awareness of your breath the whole way through. Perfect. Perfect. We still have a few minutes if anybody else would like to chime in. Lisa? No, I'm joking. She's always eager to perform. Okay. So let's just take a final minute here, sealing the practice. And as we'd like to conclude, everything that we said that was skillful, helpful, and in alignment with reality, may it root in our life and be remembered. Whatever was unskillful, disconnected from reality, may it be evaporated and forgotten. May we know that we are the present moment. We are one with the beloved. And we share this identity together always. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. When you're ready, you can rise. We can close out with the unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen. Tomorrow night, Course in Miracles, 7:15 in the classroom. Be there or be square. See you guys when I see you. Peace, love, joy.